What's going on, guys? It's your boy Beats by Ash coming at you with another banger of a video, and today I'm going to be giving you guys a close look at the new product being released in the One Piece card game today, February 3rd, Friday, Starter Deck 5 Film Edition. Now, I'm super excited about this product because if you haven't been living in a rock for the past couple weeks, then you probably know that most One Piece products, if not all, are super hard to find in the US as well as the English version everywhere. And it's kind of created a barrier to entry for new players because they can't even find starter decks to get into the game. So for this product, a lot of people are going to be able to, experience something that they haven't been able to yet. And that just makes me so happy because so far the community has been amazing. Now, I won't make this too long, but I do want to give you guys notice that we're really close to 500 subs, and I've decided at the 500 sub mark, I'm going to be holding a free 32-man tournament on the OPTCG simulator, and it's going to be free of entry, and I'm not sure what the prizing is going to be yet. Maybe some starter decks, maybe for money, or maybe for some packs if I'm able to get hands on them, but I want to make this free for you guys because I want to give back to the community, and I enjoy seeing everything from the comments that people give me, just to the interactions I've been having with people over my videos, and that makes me feel amazing. So I figured this would be a great way to start off by giving back to the community. So stay tuned for that. I will be giving more information on that as time goes on and we get closer to that goal. But without further ado, let's get into the goo. Let's go ahead and take a look at the deck. First off, our new leader is Shanks, a standard 5-life leader in the monocolor purple. Now, I'm kind of excited that maybe we'll get to see a little bit more variety in purple since, Kaido is really the only available leader for the color, whereas the other colors mostly have 2 different leaders you can play with. And hopefully it changes the playstyle a little bit. Our leader reads, active main, once per turn, you can return 3 Dawn to the Dawn deck, and then all other film type characters gain plus 2k during this turn. So pretty interesting, kind of similar to a Zoro leader effect, just a little bit more costly. And we're introducing the support for the film type, which has to do with the Film Red movie, I believe. Let's get into the main deck cards. So first off, we have the 4-cost 5k attacker Ian, not sure how to say that, but on play, add up to 1 Dawn from the Dawn deck and rest it. This is a very interesting card because we have cards like this already in purple, but this card is a natural attacker, which will make it interesting to see if this ends up seeing play, but I have a feeling that the no counter on the side of the card is going to be a pretty big drawback for people. Now we have Anne, 2-cost 3k, another no counter card, but it's another 3k blocker, which most Kaido players have decided to play the 3k blocker at maximum copies and not play the 2k blocker just because the 3k does give you an additional attacker during some turns where you have a weird amount of Dawn available and you want to be able to efficiently play out all of your Dawn. Now we've got Uta. I've heard this one's really good. It's a 4-cost 5k attacker with 1k counter and the blocker keyword, which has been a pretty good stat line so far. And on block, you can return 1 Dawn to the Dawn deck to rest up to one of your opponent's characters with a cost of 5 or less. Now, I think this card is really strong because it allows you to play very nicely into those mid-range archetypes. You can hit someone's 5-cost Queen, you can hit their Trafalgar Law, you could even hit the starter deck Crocodile. So far, I've felt like 5-cost blockers are extremely strong, so I think this ability is really relevant and it allows you to buy some time for some of those more late game, high threat purple cards. So I think this card fits really well into the purple deck, but we'll have to see how that goes. Now we have Karina, 2-cost 3k attacker, 1k counter, active main. Once per turn, you may rest this card and trash one film character. If your opponent has more Dawn on their field than you, add 2 Dawn from your Dawn deck and rest it. I'm not necessarily sure this is what you want to be doing in purple, but there's definitely a lot of potential with this effect because, you know, you are returning Dawn to the Dawn deck to use some of your more powerful effects. So depending on when you play this, it can be to your advantage, but you definitely have to play around this ability because it does require some setup. Now we have Guild Tesoro, 5 cost 6k attacker. When attacking, return 2 Dawn to the Dawn deck, draw 2 cards. Now I love this effect. The question is, it has no counter, so we're gonna have to see how it may fit into these current purple decks, but I'm definitely thinking this could be a playable card in the Blurple Croc deck because I do like the value you're generating, and I've been so far a fan of these 5 cost 6k attackers. Now we have the 1 cost 3k Gordon. Probably won't see any play. The vanilla just doesn't really have a good effect on the game at this time. Now we have the 6 cost 7k Shiki. If you have 8 or more Dawn, this character cannot be KO'd in battle. Now that's a very interesting effect considering he's 7k, so you'll just be attacking with him every turn. It's going to be kind of difficult for them to remove it in some strategies unless maybe they're like blue and they have a Mihawk, or they have to use a card like Gum Gum Jet Pistol as well as a Otama effect. But the 1k counter definitely makes this more relevant than it would be without. Now we have 2 cost 3k Scarlet. Trigger play this card. Another card that we probably will not see play because there is a similar card to this and it really hasn't been shown to do anything. Now we've got the 7 cost 8k attacker Zephyr. When this card battles a strike attribute character, this character gains 3k during this battle. Once per turn, active main, return 1 Dawn to the Dawn deck. This character gains 2,000 during this turn. Now this is a very interesting card because personally, I haven't really been paying attention too much to these attributes. Right here, it shows you strike, and I think that a lot of the purple cards are strike, if not all of them. So that's something to definitely think about. Let me know in the comments if you guys took a long time to figure out this thing about attributes, because I really didn't think about it until I read that one Luffy card in Romance Dawn, which has the effect of something similar to this, but it's definitely going to be interesting going forward as we receive more cards with these attribute-esque effects. I think this card's okay. I think it's a little bit overcosted for what you're getting, but it definitely has some utility. Now we've got the Man, the big threat everyone has been excited for. Most people have kind of just been hyping up this card and kind of underlooking the rest of them, as this is a very good high potential purple card going forward in the game, not just in Kaido, Blurple Croc as well, which I personally see the value of it in that deck, but purple decks in general. 8 cost, 10k attacker, active main, once per turn, return 4 Dawn to the Dawn deck, rest 2 of your opponent's characters with a cost of 6 or less, then this card gains double attack. 6 or less is insane. That is a really good mark for this card to hit, and I think what this card does very much overlooks the fact it has no counter, and I am excited to try this card out in Blurple Croc. I think double attack really is just more of an icing on the cake, but tapping down 2 of their things is just so crazy because you can tap down their 5 cost Queen, their Trafalgar Law, you can tap down both of their blockers, and you're essentially getting in for a free hit guaranteed. Probably 2 damage guaranteed if you're attacking their leader, since it is 10k, and that's currently very difficult to block in this game. Now we've got another 3 cost 5k Baccarat vanilla card with 1k counter. Probably not going to see any play. The vanillas just are not that relevant in the early game for purple. Now we've got 4 cost 6k Bins with 1k counter. We already have cards like this, and it just doesn't really do enough in the archetype currently. Maybe the film edition, maybe the film keyword will be more relevant, but I don't really see this seeing play. Now we've got the 1 cost 2k on play. Look at the top 5 of your deck, reveal up to 1 film card, add it to your hand, place the rest on the bottom. Now, this card is extremely nice for the purple archetype currently and going forward, as a lot of the 2Ks in the purple deck have no effect or are just not intended to be in the deck for that purpose. And so this adds like really our first real 2K counter in the purple archetype that you have a high chance of actually putting on the field. You know, there are some that have stood out to me before in the purple archetype, but if you have a high number of film cards in your deck, then this card just becomes even more relevant to putting on the board, which is amazing for purple because most good players have decided to run quite a few 2K counters in the deck currently, seeing that that's probably the best way to get to the late game. Just a fun fact, I believe purple currently does have the most number of 2K counters in the game. Just something I thought I'd bring up to you guys. I think this card is crazy, especially when you splash something like Douglas Bullet into your Kaido deck. Now we've got another vanilla 2-cost 4K Dr. Indigo. Shout out my producer, Lil Indigo. Follow him for more awesome music. 1K counter, probably not going to see play, but Lil Indigo will appreciate this one. Now we've got 3-cost Lion's Threat Imperial Earthbind. Main, return 2 Dawn to the Dawn deck. KO 1 character your opponent controls with 5 or less. Trigger, add 1 Dawn from your Dawn deck set that is active. Wow, this card is crazy. I think this card fits very well into the purple archetype, being that if you don't open the island, you know, this is a good card to kind of, if you don't open the island, this is a good card to kind of slow down the game and keep that tempo going in the direction that you want it to. And I think that this is really nice for removing a lot of problem cards that the deck currently has, such as 5-cost Law or 5-cost Queen, because unless you have 9-cost Kaido, the 5-cost cards can be very awkward for this deck to answer. And in the late game, this essentially has no cost, as well as the trigger effect is super relevant. It's the trigger effect that everyone has pretty much enjoyed with most of the cards that we are playing in the Kaido deck currently, and adding more good cards that have a trigger effect at a Dawn is just amazing for the deck, especially as active, because it just gives us so much defense in the deck and so much more consistency, considering the deck is currently very much centered around drawing the island or bust. So far, I think this card is amazing. Now we've got Union Armada, 2-cost counter, up to one of your film type leader characters gets plus 4K. If that card is a character, it cannot be KO'd during this turn. Wow, this card is crazy. I'm gonna be honest, I really feel like that 2-cost 4K counters are becoming very staple in this game in the current meta, and I think a lot of the better players have been feeling that too recently. And this has a trigger to add a Dawn as active, which works very well with the other triggers as I talked about before. And this is another card that can be added off of your 2K searcher, so I definitely love this card, and I think it adds another reason to splash a film engine into your Kaido deck. So that's going to be all of the cards for the film deck. Overall, I think this deck is a very nice utility added to the purple deck, because one thing that I haven't liked as much about purple is just how one-dimensional the playstyle is, and you can change a couple things in the deck, but overall I felt like the deck building is more about building your deck towards the core mechanics of the game instead of really changing the integral strategy. And I think these cards just add another layer to go about the archetype in the whole, and I really love that. Especially my favorite cards in this deck are going to have to be the Douglas Bullet as well as the Lion's Threat. I think these cards can be extremely usable going forward in the deck, and considering we have that 2K searcher, you know, it just adds even more value to us adding a film edition package into the Kaido deck. And I think that you really want to learn these cards, get familiar with them for the Treasure Cup, because there's definitely going to be a couple theory crafters out there who are going to be utilizing this new strategy of the deck, and I want to make sure you guys are prepared. If you guys want to see some gameplay of me utilizing these new film cards, make sure to let me know in the comments below, and I will make sure to get that out to you guys if that's what you're looking for. Thank you so much for making it this far in the video. Once again, I'd like to remind you about the upcoming 32-man tournament I'm going to be holding. Who knows, maybe I should put up a couple starter decks of this film edition, you know? Let me know what you guys would like for the prizing, but that's gonna be all for today. As always, if it's not the goo, it's got to go. Peace.
Ooh, is that indigo?